So we are now recording. This is Maurice Guibard of Société Historique Francophone, and I'm at the home for the second time now of Frank and Heather Isnardy, and we are now, is this still Williams Lake?
Yeah.
Yes.
We're still in Williams Lake. Thank you very much for having me again, receiving me again. And we're here to talk about your family. Who wants to go first to tell me about the origins of the Isnardy family in BC? How did it all start?
I think Frank can start because he knows more than I do.
How did it start?
So we've got Amity coming over.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Amity.
So Amity and there were two people who came over? Were they both
No.
Isnardys?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, but
Amity.
the three of them came over, but two of them went back
Okay, so they came over from where?
from France.
France.
From France, I believe Nice, correct?
Nice.
Nice.
Right.
And how did they come over?
By boat.
By boat. I hear they didn't buy a ticket for that boat either.
No, they were stowaways.
Stowaways. And where did they think they were going?
Well, they thought they were coming to Canada, I think.
And where did they end up?
Mexico.
Mexico. Somewhat of a surprise. So what happened in Mexico?
They just they worked around there for a little bit and then got into California, I think it was.
So they would have had to learn Spanish when they were down
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why then so about 1 year, what year, do you recall what year around that would have been?
No.
Wasn't it 1890 or something?
No, that was
No.
when Grandpa was a shoemaker.
Okay.
Okay, we'll dig out the date. We'll make sure it's in the document, all right?
Okay.
No problem. So why did they move then back to California?
Well, they were trying to get to Canada, I think.
And did they make
Wasn't
it?
there a gold?
For gold
Yeah.
rushes
There
and-
was a gold rush there.
Yeah, let's make some money.
Yeah, I know. And do you know if they were successful in the gold rush
I
there?
don't know if they were or not. They couldn't have been because they kept moving along.
They kept moving along. And
But the two brothers head back.
two brothers head back to France.
Yeah,
And who's left then? Just Amity?
just Emily.
Amity. And where did he settle?
He was in New Westminster, I think.
New Westminster originally?
Yeah.
And what was he doing there? Do you recall?
No, not really.
Okay. All
I
right.
think he had a little store or something.
He had a store in Lillooet, didn't
Yeah,
he?
he had
Yeah.
a store in Littlewit too.
And that was a little general store?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Well, there
And
wasn't much more than a general store.
correct. Do you know if that little store is still there?
No, I don't think it is.
It's gone, huh? It's gone. Did it have a name? Do you
I
know?
don't know if it is.
Don't know if it did. So I'll have to talk to the Lillooet Museum about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I understand he met a particular lady there.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yes.
tell me about her.
She was an Indian princess. And she lived, her home was in Anderson Lake.
Anderson Lake,
Yeah.
right?
I guess she moved to Littlewit with him.
So this was Julienne,
Yeah.
right? And her native name was Wila Malqua,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Did you ever hear of her referred to by the native name?
No.
It was always Julienne or Julianne?
Juliana.
Juliana.
Yeah.
I
Juliana.
never actually heard, Dad never ever talked much about his mother.
Because this was your grandmother.
Yeah.
Your grandmother. And any reason why there wasn't much talk about his grandmother?
Well, I think that
You're-
was just the way old timers were.
That's the way they were.
Yeah.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was his first wife, and they married in around Clinton in 1873, the Clinton district. Now,
Well, I think they got married in Mission.
well, in Mission, okay, all right.
At the Mission.
At the Mission, in Mission.
No,
No.
just out 100 miles. 150 miles.
150 mile. Okay,
Yeah,
all
where
right.
Sugarcane is,
Sugarcane, absolutely.
Yeah.
Baker Road, and it goes out to the mission.
Okay, is that St. Joseph's Mission?
Yeah,
Yes.
So if we were to go there at St. Joseph's Mission, the mission is gone, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
But there's a cemetery still there.
Definitely.
Right?
Yes.
yeah, there's. few
There's lots of
Isnardys buried
Isnardys there.
And is it accessible?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
We
there's-
had a work bee, maybe 2 years ago, and cleaned it all up, and yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
another one.
And should have another one pretty soon. Yeah.
Good for you. So if I
Specs and Isnardy's got together. And,
really,
yeah.
so is it the regular cemetery or is it a family
No,
cemetery?
it was the regular.
A regular.
A regular cemetery
For that area.
for that area.
Yeah.
All right. All right. And are people from the Isnardy family still being buried there?
No.
No.
they-
No,
Nobody's getting buried there anymore, it's full.
it's full.
Yeah.
So where is the burial ground now for your family? Williams
In
Lake?
town. Yeah.
In town. All right. All right. Now, how many children did Amity and Juliana have?
5.
No, more than
Juliana.
that. They
Right.
had, yeah, they had,
Oh,
5
right.
boys
Sorry.
and 1, 2, 3, 4 girls.
4 girls. And how many boys?
5.
5 boys. All right. Now, is it possible that they could have gone as many as 11 children?
I guess it would be.
Because there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
some died.
Some died, absolutely. So,
Or-
so the ones you're numbering are the ones that survived
Yeah.
to adult age, possibly. Right. But your your family is descended from one of those kids, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
And who was that?
Jimmy.
James, right?
Yeah.
James. And he lived to be 100,
Just about.
right?
99.
There, 99, 1878 to 1978. That's pretty amazing. And when he passed away, were there a number of the siblings still alive at that
No.
point?
No.
He was the last remaining
Grandpa
of
was the
those.
last.
No, there was one,
Oh.
one sister,
One sister.
Who
And
was
do you
that,
remember
Frank?
her name?
Matilda.
Matilda.
Matilda. That's okay. Interesting. Interesting. Now, what did Jimmy do for a living? Like, what kept him busy?
Farmed and,
Farming, and whereabouts was that?
here, out at Springhouse, and well, he was willed a place at Chimney Creek. On
Okay.
Highway 20.
So Springhouse was a ranch,
Yes.
Well,
a ranch or a farm?
Farm.
It was a farm,
Yeah.
and is that close to Williams Lake?
yeah,
And that was an Isnardy farm.
yeah.
And I would say maybe from Frost Creek, where we are now, it would be another,
5, 6 miles.
no farther than that.
No.
Okay.
So no, that's totally
No,
fine.
he was
would
born
know.
here.
All
I
right, you would
wasn't.
know there. So very close to here.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So he was at Springhouse, and then you were saying around here as well, near Williams Lake,
Then they moved to
moved to-
Frost Creek.
to Frost
I was
Creek.
6 months old when we moved here.
All right, because we're now in, is it Dog Creek, this area?
This is
Well,
Frost Creek.
This is Frost Creek.
Frost Creek.
All right, is there still a creek called Frost Creek?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is. All right. And then he got married
Yes.
to a Christina Teresa Bow,
Yeah.
right?
Bowie.
Bowie. I'm sorry for the pronunciation. And how did that happen? How did they meet? Do you know?
No, I don't.
You don't know.
No.
Okay.
They had 5 children.
They had 5 children.
Names were Buster, Dorothy,
I've got a Tilly, Matilda,
Yeah.
right? I've got an Irene Pearl,
Yeah.
yeah,
Irene, and I've also got a Sonny.
Sonny, yeah.
Sonny. So how did David Andrew become Sonny?
I don't know.
Just a
Just a nickname.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was the last of
Yeah.
their children and remained a bachelor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she passed away, Christine Bowie,
Bowie,
thank you, passed away in 1919, And 3 years later, he married again,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Jimmy married again, this time with Evelyn Edith Stafford,
Yeah.
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And she is your mother, is she not?
Yeah.
Right. So tell
I
me.
was going to say no, Granny, but I called her Granny.
You
for
called
our
her Granny,
children. Sorry.
of course. So, can you tell me anything about your mom?
She was a hard worker.
Oh.
Yeah?
Yes.
Always had big gardens and did lots of chickens. Before I was born, when we were at Springhouse, they'd come in a team and wagon and sell vegetables and eggs to people in town. Then they bought a car and smashed it up just up the road here
Ooh.
on the hill of our place here.
Anybody get hurt?
No,
No? Good.
the eggs did.
The eggs did.
She was a stern lady, but full of love. You just had to know Granny, you know? Like, she was firm with the grandchildren, like she would say, "Get your slippers on! Get your slippers on! You're gonna get school, get your slippers on!" That, you know, she was just, I just loved her. I didn't know her for very long, of course, but yeah, she was thoughtful. Like, every time she would come to visit, she would darn Frank's socks, because I don't darn. And then this time she'd had so many socks that she said, "I'm going to have to take these home. There's too many," because she knit the socks for him, right? Anyway, when she had finished, she sent a note to Frank saying, "Son, you gotta remember to tie up your laces. That's why you're wrecking the heels." And I could just hear her saying it. But she was a lovely person. I really liked her. Yeah. I remember when we were in Clearwater, in Badenby at that time. It was early in the morning, and she'd got up and done the dishes, and there she was out in my little garden with the dish soap, watering the cauliflower. You know, well, you don't waste it.
That's the way she grew up?
That's the way Granny grew up.
Well, that kept the bugs out of
Of course.
Yeah. And when we first came here, I don't know whether I should share it, but I'm going to share it anyway, because that's how loving she was, but you had to know her. Anyway, see, Frank said, anyway, we had just a hand-dug well, and we hadn't covered it, and we had 3 little children. And Granny had come to visit. She never said a word, and then when she got home, she sent a check and said, "Son, put a cover over that well. There's 3 little children there." You know, like, that's what I mean. She was just a lovely person.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I covered it already, filled it in.
Oh, you did, completely.
Yeah. And then we drilled a well. But at that time, we were just starting out.
Dug it,
Right.
and the water was no good.
Oh, right. So,
Yeah.
Now, the fact
We
that...
melted snow for a little while and
Oh,
had
my
3
goodness.
little ones. Yeah. But we got through
Yeah,
it.
you do it, right?
Yeah.
Now, you were talking about her garden, and she would sell some of her produce, and with the eggs as well.
Yeah.
So, was this something she did as part of the finances of the family?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And is this every family did this, or is this just she did this?
Just the odd one that did it.
How many chickens did you have?
Well, the last bunch we had was 200.
Oh my goodness!
I think we have a picture of you and those chickens, Frank.
Not that
I
much.
remember, Frank was just a baby, I remember seeing a picture with chickens.
That wasn't, we didn't have that many then.
Okay,
Oh, but there was
okay.
lots then, the picture I
Probably
saw.
40 or so.
Okay,
Right.
I guess 40 to me is a lot.
But I was really living down where that trailer is there. There used to be a 2-story house there. And then there was they had a chicken house out back. And then it was, you had to clean it, I had to clean it. It was,
There was chores, all
There
right.
was chores. What chore for you was a okay chore? What chore did you enjoy?
none of them really.
Did your family have cattle?
Got a few that, not very many.
And so did you have anything to do with that part of?
Yeah, I had to milk the cows. Once everybody else started going out to work, and I was the one that milked, had four cows that milked.
Because your dad Jimmy and Evelyn had a few other children.
Oh, yeah.
So how many did they have?
13 of us.
13 more over the children from the first marriage.
Yeah,
And where do you fit into that?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest.
He's the baby.
You're the baby. And how many years between the first and the last of your
Mike was same age as Mom. He was born in 23. And Frank was born in 40.
43, so 20 years difference.
Yeah.
Were they all still in the house when you were born?
Oh,
Many were already gone.
oh, yeah.
They all had families and
Well, no, just gone out to work.
yes,
Most of them went to work on ranches.
out ranches away from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Elk Valley, Dog Creek.
That was the thing to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I presume you got together every once in a while,
Not too often.
right?
Tell the story about Granny Frank at
Christmas
Christmas.
time we'd get together.
Tell the story. No? About her Christmas cake?
Oh. So it was Christmas time and
Okay.
people used to always stop. There used to be in the middle of it further.
Everybody
And
stopped.
They'd
'Cause there was-
always stop and party. We were in town all there doing Christmas shopping and that. And got back and she never drank very often. And she had a couple of drinks and he was all snorted up. So he's going to cut Christmas cake, but Christmas cake was already cut. And us kids had firecrackers in them. He threw firecrackers in her boots. Watch her step dance.
In her boots? Oh my goodness!
Oh, maybe we shouldn't have shared that.
Really? Wow!
No,
Well-
I don't think. I was, oh, never mind. I thought it was, you were going to tell the story about the mouse going up.
That was a rat.
Oh, a rat. Oh,
That
okay.
was a string up there.
Okay.
Right there.
Okay.
Well, all these old women wear dresses all the time.
Of course.
And she's in the field, I think, or maybe in one of the sheds or something. Rat ran up her dress.
No. Oh my gosh. That wakes you up.
But I just love Granny. She was a lovely person.
So when you were saying everybody would stop by to party, etc.,
Yeah.
would someone's fiddle come out at that
Yeah.
point?
Oh.
Tell me about your dad's fiddle.
You'd be playing.
Yeah.
And there was another guy who used to come
Britanno?
and, one member, because he'd come bring his accordion and play it.
And did your dad play in any other events except at home?
No.
He played school dances, or they'd have dances at the school and you'd play there.
Community dancing.
Right,
Dances
right.
that they do, yeah.
Did he
And
teach himself?
Yeah,
Pretty much as far as I know.
Pretty much?
by ear.
By ear?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, oh, everybody just talked about Jimmy's fiddle. Yeah, it was something. I remember we were living in Vevey at the time, and Tammy Lee was just an infant, and we had got a xylophone for her for Christmas, and Grandpa saw it sitting there, and he'd already had a stroke, so he was at this point maybe 95, 96, and he saw this, and he grabbed something, and he's tapping it, and he said, "This is out of tune."
Oh, really?
And he was trying to, yeah.
He could
But
tell.
it was a toy, you know.
He could actually
He
tell.
knew, yeah. And that always touched me, like, wow.
But after he had the stroke, he didn't play much.
Yeah.
No,
No, his fingers didn't work properly.
of course, of
And
course.
he knew that he wasn't in tune.
But he played many dances.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There's
But that was a lot, you know, the children would go with the parents and they would sleep on the floor until that was just the way it was, because you didn't have babysitters, right? So all the kids were there, and when they were all done, they all went home. But, yeah.
One fiddle only? Did he have just one fiddle?
I had another one that it was never hardly used. And it was
Oh.
it got broke.
Oh, so it got broken.
Yeah.
Right. So what happened to the fiddles?
Well, my brother's son inherited the one that he played all the time,
And his name was Jimmy.
and I hear it's not in very good shape.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But, well, the strings are broke on and that, and I said, they were not. When they took that fiddle, they came up for Dad's funeral, and we were down over, the brother lived down over across here, and we had to get together there, and I went and got the fiddle and took down there, and Bobby Haynes played it. He's a nephew of mine, and he was playing. And I phoned, Richard passed away a few years back, so his wife is still living in Richmond.
Hmm.
So I phoned her and I said, "Does Jimmy still got that fiddle?" Yeah, it was sure in rough shape. It wasn't when you guys took it. Oh yeah, case was all wrecked. And,
Oh, well, those things
But
happen.
Yeah.
But it's sad.
And you say that was at Ducey? Ducey? Where did this take place? Where the funeral took place?
Oh, right here.
And what is that?
Frost
It was after, it wasn't there the funeral was in town.
Okay. Oh, I thought you said something about Ducey or Dossie.
No.
No? Okay. I misunderstood. Sorry.
We had a get together.
Yeah.
Like right over there is where Frank's brother Fred lived. And everybody went to Fred's and had a get together of all the family and friends, you know. But after the service. But,
Right.
and yeah, it was beautiful.
Was
Because it was, Grandpa was gone, but still everybody came together, you know, so it was nice.
yeah. Now I understand that a couple of major family gatherings were organized as well later
Oh,
on.
yes.
I had
Yes,
So who organized those?
me mostly.
Really?
yeah.
And how did you were able to reach out to most everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think we had
oh my gosh. We have a picture of the
200
first
and
one.
some, I think.
Yeah. And we had that at Chimney Lake. And the Staffords were invited as well, like Granny's,
Yes.
Frank's mom's family. And it was a wonderful time. It was a long weekend, so there were a lot of people that came. And yeah, you hadn't seen cousins in a long time. And then we had another one about 5 years later, wasn't there, Frank?
No, it was longer than
Anyway, the next big one was held out at
Belfry Lake.
Belker Lake, and that again was a big one. A lot of cousins that hadn't seen each other, and then the last one I think was 3 years ago, and that was out at McLeese Lake.
Was that when the cousins came from France?
No.
Oh no,
We
no.
just had a get together to Legion when
That was, Frank
That was
organized that with Sister Alice. She was tickled. Alice has passed on now. But they were so excited to see, and we still correspond, to see family, like Isnardy's.
How did they find you?
they wanted they wanted to see where Emily went to. And they found out where he went to, so then they decided that they were gonna come up.
And
But
they had
didn't-
an interpreter.
They didn't stay very long. One of them could speak English, and the other, there were 6 of them came. And one lady could speak English.
And they had done up oh sorry Frank, I'm interrupting.
And,
The snorkel.
yeah. And they didn't stay very long, so I couldn't show them a whole bunch.
Okay.
But we did take them around and show them what we
It was only
could.
3 days they stayed.
But we had,
Then there were some other relatives in the Kootenays, so they wanted to go there. And then from there they flew home.
Okay.
but we had a gathering and tried to get as many people as would come to meet
Yeah,
them.
probably about 90
And,
people.
and they had a little computer set up and they wanted to know who was who, and oh, they were just so tickled. And Alice had made up this, she said, we gotta have a special cake. So she made up this special, had it made up. And welcome family or whatever it said, I can't remember. I know we have pictures, but everybody was so excited to see them. Yeah.
That's really exciting.
But some of them never came.
Oh, a lot didn't come, but the people that did come,
2 of my
Enjoyed
sisters
it.
never came up.
but we
So
still correspond through email.
great.
And she sends pictures and we send pictures.
That's really exciting, and I'm going to be talking to them next week by phone.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
wonderful.
So I'm really looking forward to that.
Yes.
I wanted to wait till I saw you again.
Yes.
And then to pass on the information about the music that I was able to find. So I'll be sharing that with them as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wonderful. She'll be tickled.
That's great.
She is a super nice lady.
The family was Evelyn Stafford First Nations.
No.
She's English.
Yes.
From England directly.
Yes.
All
Wales.
right.
13 years old and they moved to
They moved
Canada.
to Canada. And do you know what brought them here? They were just settlers, or?
I don't
Well,
know.
we wanted to make a better living.
Okay. Like everybody else, I suppose,
Like
right?
everybody else,
Right.
exactly.
Now, with many children from both the wives of Jimmy, did you interact? Did you ever see each other?
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Would you like, was everybody included in your gatherings? Was it
No,
this
not
branch and
that.
not that branch?
Oh,
or-
never, no.
Oh, yeah, I was.
No, but I meant, Frank, in family reunions,
Oh,
the Bowies came too, like Christine's children came, like Dorothy, and we're still very close to them. Yeah, yeah, very close. Bobby and Lenora, and
Yeah.
that's what you're asking, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes, very much so.
So,
But
Oh, we
they're a
don't
lot
see each other
older,
very often.
of course, so a lot have passed
Well,
on.
Of
most
course.
them are dead now.
so there's still some left from that first
Yeah.
marriage.
Yeah.
And what about from the
Well,
second marriage? How many of the children are left now?
Just three of us.
Is you?
Frank's the only boy.
Yeah.
And
And you?
Actually, from the first marriage, there's none other than cousins and that.
Yeah,
Cousins.
Yeah.
So the children
Not
themselves
siblings,
are not okay.
Yeah.
And then from your brothers and sisters, there's Olive.
Oh,
Right.
And where is she now?
Kamloops,
And she married a
Bowser.
Bowser, right? And the other sister who's still with us,
Geneva.
Geneva. And where is she?
Oh, she goes by Jenny.
By Jenny. All right.
but she's really Geneva. I call her Geneva.
It's a beautiful name.
I love the name.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and she married as well.
Yeah.
What is her married name?
Porterfield.
Porterfield. And she lives in
Merritt, no.
Merritt. All right. And do you get to see them?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Every now and
great.
again.
That's great.
And we phone. Or
I've-
Frank phones them.
I've spoken with both of them, and I actually visited with Olive.
Ollie?
Olive.
Okay.
So I'll be going back to film her as well.
Okay.
So we'll
Oh,
we'll
she'll
get
enjoy that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping.
And Ollie's a little older and can maybe give you a little more information.
There you go.
Too.
There you go. So I'm looking forward to going to see
Yeah.
them both.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's what, 82, I think now.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So the
I thought Ollie
family.
was older, Frank. No. Okay.
All right. Now, if we go back to Amity and Juliana, so basically we have a French man who married a native woman,
Yeah.
right? And so, what language would have been spoken at home from that marriage?
English. I think.
English?
Yeah.
And did Amity speak any other languages at home? Did he speak
Well,
French ever? Do you
I
think?
wouldn't know that.
Did he speak Juliana's language, native language?
Could have.
And what would that have been? Do you know what?
The shot.
Shuswap?
Yeah.
So he would have spoken that.
Could have.
Could have. And what about the kids? Would they have spoken Shuswap at all?
Well, Dad spoke a little. Yeah. He spoke a little bit of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about Juliana? She would have spoken English,
Yeah.
right?
I'm sure she would have had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like.
Because she used to go from Chimney Creek Ranch,
Right.
which is over on Highway 20, and she'd go to the mission to go to church
Right.
on Sundays. And
St. Joseph's Mission?
yeah,
Okay.
and in the winter time she'd go with, well, she'd ride a horse over it. And she'd spend the night there and then come back the next day. But she always went to church, I guess, what I heard.
And did Amity go too?
Not some of the times.
Some of the
Sometimes
times.
he
He did. This is Catholic.
Yeah,
Catholic. So they were at Chimney Creek at that point, and my understanding is that the name comes from the fact that there was a house that burned down and all was left is a chimney.
Yeah.
Is that still there, that chimney?
no, I never ever seen it.
You never saw it, so there's no foundations left
I imagine there is if you look in the right spot.
if you're in the right spot,
Yeah.
right? So if I was to drive there today, it would be hard to find.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
The spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
My cousins have a place now.
A Stafford.
a Stafford,
Yeah.
right? Okay, well maybe
But my
we'll.
uncle-
They might know. He might know.
My uncle had it at first, and then he died, so The kids have it now.
Well, we'll try to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Um,
I bet you they would know.
Well, I don't know, they might.
I'm sure they would.
Maybe, that'd be great. So the kids then came, like in today's speak, we would say they were Métis. Right? They were half
First name.
half
Oh, I
European
see.
and
Yeah.
half First Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But did you go by that term at that point?
No.
No.
So what did you consider yourselves to be? Like you were a descendant of Jimmy and Evelyn, who was English, so you were pretty much European, really. But that first family were half native blood.
Yes.
So, but did they feel First Nations, or did they feel European?
No. Well, actually, back in them days, nobody wanted to be Indian
And
That's
why was
right.
that?
because you didn't have no rights.
No rights,
You know.
It's changed now.
right?
Everybody wants to
But-
be Indian.
Right. So back then, though, the community would have still known, right? Like this
Oh,
was not
definitely.
uncommon around
Oh,
here,
oh,
right?
no,
Oh,
no.
definitely.
But did they go out of their way not to be First Nations, or was it just
No.
No.
no?
No.
They did live on reserve though,
No.
No.
and why?
Because they were married to Grandpa.
Okay, so the fact that there was
They
a
left. She left the reserve to marry Grandpa,
okay,
great Grandpa.
right?
She's had a sister, and she married the Rankins.
Okay,
Because Rankins are related too.
and Rankins is that another ranching family?
Yes.
Well, he used to be.
Yeah. Okay. Did the kids go to residential school?
No.
And how did they get around that? Is it
Well, we had. Well, I don't know. I don't think Dad had much schooling. I don't think any of his brothers and sisters had.
okay?
Much. My one aunt did. But,
So to be forced to go to residential school, we know how that happened.
yeah.
Did the agents, the officers, go after kids who were also half native?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know.
Not that-
You don't
not
know?
As far as I know.
Okay, but in this case, none of Amity's kids ever had to go to residential school.
No.
So we're lucky there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're lucky, right?
I think at that time, because Juliana married Amity, you leave your reserve if you married a white man.
Right.
I'm not sure, but I kind of have a feeling that I remember reading that.
Yeah, there was also a loss of rights for the woman as
Right,
well, right?
exactly.
Which was so
Yeah.
unfair.
Yeah.
But then we come to your brothers and sisters, immediate brothers and sisters. So you're descendants of Jimmy, who is half European, half First Nations. How do you consider, Frank, yourself? How do you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself First Nations?
My terms on pilot.
Pardon me? What was that?
He teases and says, I'm a Paiute.
A Paiute. What is a Paiute?
A Paiute.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that a
Papu-
Slang.
oh slang?
Slang.
I don't know that slang. Explain it to me. Sorry, I don't know
and
that.
when you say papoose, you say that's a baby.
Right, a papoose. But what's a Paiute?
Just, I don't know, somebody came up with it.
I wonder where that comes from. Interesting. So you feel you're First Nations. That's what you feel in your heart. You're a First
Well,
Nation
yeah.
man.
Yeah. First Nations in me.
And not totally. I don't know, Frank.
Yeah. No, not really.
I don't know. It's not me, so
Right.
be quiet, Heather.
But, I do have a card now.
So your status. Your status.
Yes.
And which nation would that be?
Williams Lake Band.
Williams Lake Band. And is that Shuswap?
Yeah.
It's Shuswap. All right. And
And I pushed that because I said, Frank, that's history. And you have to you owe that to your children, you know? That was Grandpa. So anyway, and it's not been all that long that Frank got his status. I was in the early 90s and there was a mix-up somehow, and anyway, I said, Frank, I think it's important. It's history. So anyway, he let me continue. I'm not kind of the bookkeeper or whatever. And he said, okay. But I think he's pleased now that it went through, and it is family, it is history, and it's important.
Oh, you got benefits, you know.
Education,
Yeah.
etc.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent, excellent.
Our children all went off to school at that time. It had not gone through, so we helped them, and they got student loans, and you know, like I said, it's only been maybe 5 years that Frank has got his status.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that is full First Nation status
Yes.
in your case. What about your children? Would they be
They all
also
got it.
seeking? They all got it as well? Full status as well?
Yeah.
My grandkids got it.
And the grandkids as well?
Yeah. And then it stops there.
Because of the generations?
Yes.
Yes, sir,
Yeah.
So after that, would your grandkids' kids, would they be able to get perhaps Métis status?
Well,
They'd have to look and
They'd have to look it up.
check it out. Yeah. I
I
don't
think it'll
know.
be all affiliated one day.
Right, right.
It will be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you see that happening around here? Is there a talk about that already?
Well, I've heard that a while back that one day it's gonna be all one. But you never know.
Okay. But in your particular family, you've got your generation, your children, and your grandchildren have all got First Nation status.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was told that my grandkids wouldn't be able to have it when I got mine. And so my daughter they phoned her and told her that her status had came, that come in and get the card and that. And they said, do you bring your kids, because they can get it too. So
Great.
she went home and got her kids and brought them down.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Guess it depends who you speak to, right? Now, so thank you for sharing that. Now let's go back to Frank's. Like, what kept you busy all these years, Frank? What did you work in?
Started out working in the ranches.
Ranches? And where did you go?
Oh, just around here, and did a lot of work with my brothers and that.
And define work. What did they have you doing?
You know, pretty well everything.
Define everything. To give me some examples.
Well, farmed and like the fields and hay.
Hay and
Okay.
And you'd fix fence and cowboy. And then,
Were you a good cowboy?
Yeah, I was pretty good on
Yeah? How good a cowboy were you?
Well, I never ride in a rodeo.
Okay.
yes, you did. You rode in the rodeo. Rope.
You roped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? You're a good roper?
Well, I wasn't bad then.
All right.
Then.
I just team roped. I never.
Okay.
For that.
And that was right through? Did you do that kind of work throughout your life?
No, then.
Then he got married.
You got married.
I went out to Big Lake and worked for a ranch there 2 different summers. Wintertime I did
How old were you about then?
16. And in the wintertime I quit school. No, I guess I was 17. No, I was 16. First time I remember. And I quit school when I was 17. And
You didn't go to grade 1 or grade 2 until.
yeah.
I thought Granny said you.
Went down Chimney Valley and school there.
But you weren't like 6 when you went to grade 1, were
I
you?
was 6.
Okay, sorry, I've mistaken.
And I went to work in this guy had a little mill, and I was skidding logs with a horse, and I got graduated to a little cat, and from there on I just kept working in the bush.
In the bush. And what is that?
Logging.
Logging.
Yeah.
Your own or
No.
Then you drove the logging truck.
And I did log my own for a bit, 5 years. Seeing that I wasn't going to make any money at it, I got out of it. Because I couldn't go big.
Mm.
It cost too much money to go big. She wouldn't let me.
So she had a say at that point?
Yeah.
When did
I mostly never. I remember my mom and dad were ill. And mom was.
Well, tell me where that was and where are you from?
Okay, just a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll tell you the
Okay,
story,
by all means.
because I often forget.
Okay.
Anyway, and my mom was terminal with cancer, and dad had asked me to come home, and they were living in Kamloops. And Frank would call me periodically, and he had his brother Mike staying with us.
Not all the time, some of the time.
No, but Frank, when I was away, Mike stayed there, and I went to Kamloops, and he helped. Got the children off to school. He was paraplegic.
This is Mike the Cowboy.
Yes, Mike the Cowboy. Once he
You bet.
was well enough to be on his own. Anyway, and we would call back and forth, and my son, Toddy, was on the phone talking to Mommy, and he said, Daddy bought a skidder, and it's red, and it's in the pasture, Mom. Oh.
And what is a skidder?
It's a big piece of machinery. When he was logging,
Okay.
Toddy was just a baby, and of course, I said, what did he do now? But he wasn't supposed to tell me.
Oh.
But it's a secret, but it's a skidder, and it's red, and it's in the pasture, but it's a secret, Mom. He was just wee.
Sure.
But anyway, yeah.
So where did you come into the picture, Heather?
Well, I in '69, I moved to Williams Lake, and I worked at the hospital.
And what was your maiden name, by the way?
Kelly.
Kelly. And where was your family?
At that time, Mom and Dad were in Kamloops. I was born in New Brunswick,
Oh.
and we lived in New Brunswick. I think I was just wee when we left there, and Dad was in the army, so we transferred often. And we then went to Quebec, and we were in Quebec for 14 years.
Where was that?
Montreal North.
What?
And then Moriana. And then we moved to Ontario, and then we moved to Alberta, and that summer, Dad was to enlist in the fall, and that summer we took a family vacation and went to Victoria, and Dad said, I'm not re-enlisting, I'm going to retire. Anyway, Dad did, and they moved to Kamloops. I stayed in Alberta because I was working on, I was taking medical terminology, so I worked at the Army Hospital.
Where was that?
In Wainwright.
Wainwright.
And we lived in the camp there. So I stayed there. And then Mom and Dad moved to actually Merritt as well, and Dad luckily got on with the Forest Service, and he worked with the Forest Service for quite some time, retired, and then moved back to Kamloops.
What were your parents' names?
Roland, but Dad went by Pep, and Effie
And Effie's maiden name?
Cunningham.
Cunningham. So there was you, and did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have a brother, older,
What's his name?
George, and he was born in 42. I was born in 46. My sister Pat was born in 48, and my baby sister was born in 57.
And are they still with us?
Yeah.
Wow, great. And where are they all?
Baby sister's in, Janice is in Alaska, Soldotna, and brother's in Chilliwack, and my sister Pat is in Williams Lake. Her children are all over the place, Toronto and wherever, and she was at that time living in Kamloops, and she moved up here to be closer to me. So that's very nice.
Now, you mentioned you studied medical terminology.
Mm-hmm.
Did you work in the medical field?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
When I moved back to I just applied all over, and I was hoping for the Okanagan, Shuswap, not too far from home, from where Mom and Dad were, but old enough to be out on my own. And anyway,
What kind of work were you looking for?
medical terminology or whatever that interfered. Anyway, I just had resumes put out, and I've had one in Revelstoke, and then like I said, I was still holding on for Salmon Arm, and then I got a call from Williams Lake, and I thought, okay, well, I'll just go see what it looks like, because I'd never been to BC other than that holiday. So I moved up here, or come up and had the interview, and he said the job was mine, and I said, well, I don't have any place to live, and he says, we have a residence, so you can live in our residence. And that, I just met so many friends, and it was just wonderful.
Was this at the hospital or the Williams Lake Hospital?
Yeah, and then I left in 71, and then I had met so many dear friends, and I would come back and forth, because I applied in Kamloops too at the, I worked in the surgical pathology. I did medical terminology there, and I would come up on the weekends, and that's when I met Frank, because I didn't know Frank when I first moved here. And a couple of girlfriends said, oh, let's go to a Stampede. And I said, oh, who's that cowboy? And it was Frank. And he had a cowboy hat on. Oh, he looked cute in that cowboy. and Marie said, oh, it's just Frankie. I said, oh. Anyway, then it was history.
Good for you.
Yeah, but like I said, we didn't know each other at all until I had come up for a weekend. Yeah.
And you ended up getting married?
Yes.
And
Well, I was still working in Kamloops, and then when we got married in 73, we bought a trailer, and Frank hauled logs out of Vavenby, and Vavenby's just a little north of Clearwater, if you know where Clearwater is. And then we were there for about 2 years, and I wanted to work in the hospital there, but Frank said, no, he didn't want me working. But I thought, what am I going to do? But we knew we wanted to start a family. So anyway, we started our family, and then we moved back here because there was more work. So here we are.
and you had children?
We had 3 children, yeah.
What are their names?
Tammy Lee is the oldest, and she was born in 74. 75, and Tanya in 76, and Todd in 76, 74.
So you were not going for the 13 children.
No! I said I wasn't coming home from the hospital. No, and that was the happiest time of my life when I had my 3 little ones at home, and I had no vehicle. We were here, no vehicle, just happy as all get out. Just,
Yeah. It could be,
Frank, I never took the kids anywhere. We did eventually get a vehicle.
I had the Pontiac.
Yeah. But anyway,
When we moved back here, we had the Pontiac.
yeah, but I never took it.
Yeah, you did.
Did I?
She got Alzheimer's too.
I do. I have. No, not Alzheimer's. I have problems remembering, and I'll be the first to admit it. There's lots that I don't remember.
Yeah, that's normal. That's
Yeah.
just normal.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, I just thoroughly enjoyed being home. And then when Toddy was in grade 2, I would just wait for them to come home. And then, as children are, the day's over. They don't want to tell you anything. Oh, good, Mom, it was good. But I'm waiting to hear. Anyway, I thought, okay, it's time for me to go to work and make some money, and because we're going to be raising 3 children. So yeah,
So you went back to work
I went back to work.
in the medical field still?
Yeah, yeah. I first went to the hospital. I was hoping at that time to get back in, because when I was here in 6 now, I ran the admitting department. And I was hoping to get in along that line, but it was a time where I worked just part-time, and I wanted to make more money, and then the clinic had offered me a job as a receptionist. So I went there and I stayed there for a long time. Yeah.
Now, just a few minutes ago, you said something in French.
What did I say?
You said Montréal Nord.
I did so. No, I have very little.
Vous parlez plus français.
Wait.
Too bad.
Yeah, and brother was fluent at one time too, but I was never fluent. He was, but because we went to English-speaking schools, and like I said, Dad was. We weren't in PMQs at that time, but it was kind of a district where all the army men lived.
What's a PMQ?
Permanent married quarters. Okay. Yeah. But no, we didn't go, and it was mostly English-speaking people.
Okay.
So we didn't have a lot of French friends.
Have any of your kids shown any interest in their native heritage or language?
Yes.
Yeah, my daughter.
Yeah. So
Yes,
what's happening on that front?
Well, they all got their status now.
They have the
My
status,
one daughter never did it though. She just got her status.
right?
And it was me saying, Tanya,
Yeah,
that's
to
your
give it.
heritage.
Right.
You know, don't. Tanya feels like I can pay my own way. And I said, I don't mean it that way. Because and they're all like that. But it's history.
Has anyone shown any interest in learning the language, the Shuswap?
really, no.
Not quite.
I could see Tammy Lee wanting to, yeah. But when you're busy raising a family like they are, like I was, you don't have time for that, you know?
I understand.
But I don't know. But yes, I think they would all probably like to.
I don't
You mentioned Mike Isnardy,
Yeah.
whose prize saddle is in the Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Is he still alive?
No.
He's not alive. And was he an active part of your family?
Yeah.
And where does he fit in? Is he a cousin? Is he a...
No,
Brother.
He's your brother.
Yeah.
My mistake. I apologize
He's
for
the
that.
oldest.
He's the oldest
brother
and Frank's the youngest.
Of my family, the 13.
So were you involved? Because I know he was involved in a lot of organization for most of the ranches in the Caribou, that sort of thing.
Well, not really ranches, but he worked on.
Rodeos, sorry,
Rodeo.
rodeos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you at all involved in helping him out with
I
that?
helped him a bit, yeah.
So what did that...
Like when he went on road trips, he had
He had all the cattle.
3-ton Ford truck and he had all the chutes and that, the portable chutes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I hauled him to a couple of different places for him.
I just actually read Mike's book again because
Yeah.
I'd read it before and then you forget.
Right. It's
And I
a
thought,
it's a
"I read it
biography.
again."
Exactly.
Yeah, and I had forgotten that it all started at Springhouse. That's how the rodeo came about, was through Mike. You know, and I thought, oh, yeah, that's pretty neat. You know, and look where rodeo is today. And here it all started out at Springhouse. at
Which
his
is just down the street
Yeah, and on his place. 'Cause
on his
would,
place.
he would have people come on Sunday and they would, you know,
They built a rodeo ground,
yeah,
arena.
And he had cattle.
yeah.
Like a significant ranch? Like how many cattle are we talking?
He had probably about 160 head.
160 head? And is that the kind of cattle ranch where it's a turnover, you sell in the fall or whatever?
Well, they'd raise calves and back then you wouldn't sell calves like you do now.
Right,
Our
You'd
once,
sell 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds.
right, right.
If there's more money in selling calves nowadays, you don't have to feed them all winter.
And then he had an accident.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Do you want to tell me about the accident?
No, we were living on Wavenby then. And
It was Christmas Day.
Christmas Day, he was feeding these horses. That's all he had then was bucking horses left. Well, that was just after he'd started the rodeo and sold his ranch at Springhouse. And he had the metal horse racks in the back of his pickup. And he was feeding and Willie Casina was driving the truck and he grabbed a bale and the string broke and went over backwards and landed
his
on
neck.
frozen ground and broke his neck.
So he was standing and he fell backwards. And he broke a neck just by a fall,
Yeah.
Well, it's,
snapping back.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably 8 feet.
Oh, he was in the truck.
In the
Yeah,
I
truck,
understand.
taking the,
Right.
Yeah, and it was the top bale of it. So, yeah.
but he was in GF Strong we went down to see him there for quite some time.
That's a facility.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he became a quadriplegic? Paraplegic.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From,
but I tell you, he got around. He would still go out and check his cattle.
Yeah.
Our little guy.
He bought a few cows. And he had,
Toddy was his gate opener. He would go and open the gates for
That's
Uncle
great.
Mike, because he would, before he went to school, right, like in 4 or 5 years old, he would go and open the gates for Uncle Mike. And then he lived with us for some time. Like I said, I was back and forth with my parents, and at that time, Mike stayed with us to help with getting the children off to school. And he was good enough to put potatoes on for supper, and then Frank come home and he would cook. But I had spent a lot of time in Kamloops that year, and it was just nice to know that Mike was here.
So, Frank, from all of your family members, does any one or two stick out as those people you looked up to?
I guess I looked up to most of them. I think Norman was the one I looked up to the most.
This is your brother,
Yeah,
Norman?
yeah.
And what made you look up to him?
I don't know. He was easy to talk to, and he was one hell of a cat skinner. I guess that's why I looked up to him.
Because that's what Frank ended up doing.
Right?
Yeah.
But he was a very nice fellow. He took me skiing we went down to Penticton. Norm had got, was it TB, Frank?
Yeah.
And he couldn't work. Look at those, oh sorry. The bugs on the
Field.
Anyway, Frank had said, oh, we'll go to Penticton and go skiing. And we weren't engaged.
I was going to buy a set of skis.
Anyway,
But they were
he said, oh, would you like to go skiing this weekend? I said, oh, sure. Well, Frank was such a sweetheart back then. Get down to Penticton. He had never been on skis in his life. But his brother was an instructor, so he skied in Montreal. And anyway, in the Laurentians. But he would ski with me, and Frank stayed at the bottom and wait for us. Like,
No, I slept. We were partying the night before. I had to get back to work on Sunday, or Monday, we would go to work Monday. So, and I had to get up early Monday morning to go to work.
he had no intentions of skiing,
Well,
but he knew his brother.
I was going to buy the skis from him when they were too big for me.
Oh,
So he wouldn't sell them to me.
so you were going to take a lesson,
Yeah, well, he was going to
right?
give me a lesson.
Anyway,
So now you're both retired,
yes,
right?
yes.
And how's retirement?
Shit, this last while.
Well,
A
actually,
few.
it was 16 years ago. Frank had a stroke, so he wasn't able to work after that.
Well, for quite a while, and then I got where I could go back to work, and then arthritis hit me in my hands and that, and I couldn't. If I can't do something decent, I won't do it. So everybody, well, you could go do this, you could do that. You can't produce, so I don't believe in being in the way. So I wouldn't go back to work, so.
All right.
Which was bad, because I could have maybe went and stocked shelves or something. But not my bag.
So is there anything that we haven't talked about with respect to the Isnardys that you'd like to bring up?
Really?
I think it's sad that you don't get together often enough for such a big family. I come from a very small family, but everybody's busy with their lives, you know.
Yeah,
Just
I don't, like this last
But when we
family
have
reunion
the
I had
family
was only
reunion-
about, might have been 100 people there, you know, which for the size of their family is nothing.
But it's nice for the people that do come. And it's probably, now I think it's time for the younger generation
To do it.
to take it over. And actually our daughter, Tammy Lee, was a big part of helping.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me that Tammy Lee would
No, I don't
start it
think
up
she would.
again. I don't know.
Not with her temperament,
Oh.
she won't do it.
But, and I gotta say, all the Isnardys were so good when it came to planning and, yeah. There was like food beyond. They all pulled together. It just, like, that's what I mean, it should happen more often.
Well, maybe we'll be creating an opportunity because I've mentioned to you that I've found the recording of Jimmy's, your
Yes.
grandfather Jimmy's fiddle playing at the Royal BC Archives. And so we'll be getting a copy of that. That'll be part of the project as well. And maybe we'll have Jimmy's descendants, maybe your grandchildren, dancing to his music.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? Oh my.
There was some other music made from the local radio station here, it used to be called CKCQ. They started in Canal and then they had Canal and Williams Lake. And there was Gordon Franks actually started it. There was Gordon Franks, Dad, Sonny, and I think Peterson. I can't remember his first name. They used to go in and play at CKCQ.
Live.
Once a week. And there was tape, but nobody could find their tapes.
No. Wow.
Yeah, and they're all dead now.
Right.
So,
Well, at least we'll have the one good tape. There's
Yes.
at least 6 or 7 tunes.
but, like,
Wouldn't that be something, eh?
It's coming.
Oh.
good.
Well,
And how did you went to the archives?
yes, it's fairly simple. You just look up the name, and there's a recording of, there's an interview with him and his music. So you'll get a copy of all of that. All right.
That's sure a keepsake.
So it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
Well, listen. I want to thank you both for really being candid and being upright, up for sharing your life history. I can imagine some of the moments might have been a bit difficult, but you've got a great history, and thank you for sharing it. We'll make sure that we spread the Isnardy good name around.
Oh, thank you. Yes,
Thank
I've
you.
enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to.
All right. Thank you very much.
And I give you all the copies of the people from France. Oh, and we could